city game versus suburban game. And it's a little like easy mode versus hard mode. And the main reason for that is your exposure to women in these different environments. The greater your exposure, the easier you're going to find it to find, get laid, find girlfriends, get hot women. All that is dependent on your exposure to them. And it's the most important thing. It's more important than looks, money, status. Without girls actually seeing you, you have nothing, essentially. So that's why city guys have it so easy. Their exposure to women is so much more abundant than a person that lives in the suburbs, or even on like nightmare difficulty, you live in the country where there's barely any girls around, which is like pretty much impossible to have any kind of abundance mentality. Let me first describe what city life is and how easy these guys have it, but they don't even realize it. Often these city guys don't even realize how good they have it until they actually move out and all their abundance with hot women disappears as well. Okay, living in the city in a population dense environment is going to make online game easier. It's going to make day game easier. It's going to make night game easier. It's going to make social circle easier. Everything gets easier because there's more women around you. When a city guy goes out during the day, even just walking out the streets, here's what I define as a city guy. You can walk out your door and within 5 minutes see attractive women that you can approach. You live in a population dense environment. Either you live downtown where there's a ton of like attractive women walking around, or you live close to like a college campus where there's a lot of young women walking around. Either of those scenarios really work to make things easier for you. So day game's going to be easy for them because they don't have to spend a whole lot of time looking for women. They're never worried about like, oh no, I wonder if I'll see an attractive woman today. They see them all the time. You come outside your door, you walk for 5 minutes, bam, you see a hot woman that you're attracted to. So there's an abundance mentality already built in. You're like, women are not a scarce resource. I see attractive women all the time. That is the advantage of living in a like population dense environment. Okay, online's easier. There's more women around you. There is easier for them to meet up with you. And even girls that are from like outer suburbs, they want to go downtown because it's higher status. So even if you live in a dumpy apartment downtown, you're still higher status than them. So they'll make the trip to see you. Not only that, but because you live downtown, you're close to lots of bars as well, which makes bringing girls back to your place super easy when it's a 5-minute walk. Also, when girls are at the bar and they can't find a guy to go home with, instead of taking like the train or a taxi all the way back home because they can't find a guy, they can just hop on Tinder. Oh, there's a guy 5 minutes away that's attractive and I can stay at his place. Boom, easy lay. And it's a great deal for her. Instead of taking like the cab home and being sexually frustrated, she gets to spend the night at a guy's house. Doesn't have to worry about cab or like taxis and all that shit. And she gets a good experience as opposed to like going home like frustrated, paying for cabs and, being, pent up. So that's another huge advantage of being downtown, close to the nightlife. It really makes everything easier. But what about the guys, the majority of men, that live in the suburbs who are playing on hard mode? And you're going to have to fix your lifestyle in order to make your exposure to women a lot higher than what it currently is. You're going to have to change your routine a bit in order to be exposed to more women and increase your opportunities of success. Now, obviously doing these things is not going to compare to what it's like living downtown, but you can still experience sexual abundance living in the suburbs. You just have to be a little more creative and work a little harder. Okay, first thing, if your career isn't that important to you, you can get a high exposure job. Any kind of job that puts you around a lot of like attractive women. Waiters, lifeguards, doormen, bartenders, All those kind of things put you around a lot of attractive women. And yeah, it kind of creates an easy environment for girls to, come into you, be exposed to you. Another option is to get a job downtown. That way you're forced to go to that high exposure environment pretty much 5 days a week. And then you can just hit on girls after work, on your way home. Take 15 minutes, see if you see any attractive women checking you out. You can approach them. Yeah, and you've got yourself a pretty decent, shot at having kind of a sexual abundance happen. Taking transit. This was a huge game changer for me. I actually went out of my way, even though I had a car, I actually went out of my way to take transit. One, because it's more relaxing. I don't have to worry about traffic or accidents or anything like that. But two, this is where I first experienced sexual abundance. As soon as I started taking transit. Because guess what? A lot of young, attractive women are taking transit too. And yeah, it's easy for you to strike up a conversation as you're on your way home from work or on your way to work or waiting at a bus stop or anything like that. It's super easy, very easy to, get your sexual abundance that way because you're meeting women all the time, pretty much every time you hop on the train or the bus. I can't stress this enough, but you might have to explore your city to see where more of the attractive women hang out. You may be in a suburb that really doesn't have very many attractive women. Maybe it's an older community. Maybe it's an older suburb that attracts a lot of old people or really young families, just not a lot of your target demographic. Or maybe it's a certain race that you prefer, and there's only the races that you are in your community are all one kind. So if you want a different race, you got to go to a different suburb. Again, this is why it's important to explore your city and to find out, where the good fishing spots are. Because you'll be surprised. You can take a 15-minute train ride over to another suburb and bam, all of a sudden you see a lot more attractive women than you currently do at your current suburbs. So explore your city. Next, do frequent grocery shopping. Instead of buying all your groceries in one big sitting that'll last you a week or two, buy stuff that'll last you a day or two. That way you're continually forcing yourself out to get around people to the grocery store. Same thing with the gym. A gym's a really good one for, guys in suburbs. You'll find a majority of attractive women. I know in my area, pretty much the only attractive women I see are at the gym. Anywhere else, it's pretty slim pickings. But the grocery stores are another thing where everybody has to buy groceries. So occasionally you will see attractive women there, depending on when you go. And you can time it so it's busier. You can go when it's busier times around 6 o'clock or when people get off work and there's a lot more people there, and the chances of you running into an attractive woman are a lot higher that way. And if you go more frequently, you go every 1 or 2 days to get groceries, it increases your probability of you being exposed to an attractive woman that you find attractive. And lastly, this is going to be a big game changer for a lot of guys as well, which is online game. Online game really, at this point in time on Tinder and all the apps, you are paying for exposure. So when you pay money, the more women you get exposed to, which is, it kind of sucks having to pay, but that's the name of the game. If you want to, increase your exposure to more women and get more women, you've got to be willing to pay the money. And that's how all these algorithms work. The more money you pay, the more women see you. And of course, the more women see you, the higher the likelihood that you'll find one that's attracted to you and you're attracted to her. So yes, this is what really is another big game changer for guys that live in the suburbs, is to maximize your looks, maximize your pictures. You have to really put a lot of work into your pictures in order to get a top 10% profile. And really, if you are not top 10%, you are going to be bottom feeding with all the other undesirables that none of the good guys, none of the guy top 10% want. So if you want an abundance, you're going to have to put in work, either Maximizing your looks, which is step one. And step two is maximizing your pictures, which means going to taking a lot of pictures, potentially doing like professional photo shoots, and yeah, all that jazz. So it's a lot of work, but once it's done, it's pretty much on autopilot. You can just, your sexual abundance is pretty easy at that point. So yes, by living in the suburbs, it is possible to achieve sexual abundance, get a lot of hot women, provided you actually live, within like it. It's not like out in the middle of nowhere. There is a lot of people around you. They're just further away from you than you would normally like. And that's the thing. Like, I live in the suburbs, and I can still attract women from all the surrounding suburbs and all the big cities around me. And I would have never had to meet them. Like, I would have never got to meet them had I just did like day game or night game or any of that. It expanded my horizons. I got to, hook up with and meet girls from the suburbs that I'd never would have seen before. Because we would never cross paths. But online does that. It increases your exposure to like tons more women. And that's why online game is the fastest path to sexual abundance. Because you can just pay for maximum exposure. You can get exposed to like thousands of women essentially. Whereas if you were trying to do that during the day game or night game, it'd have taken you days, if not months. So yeah, that's the big advantage of online game. All right, guys, that's the video. Thanks for watching.